Gamers, welcome back to another episode of our Middle East series. Let's get into it. Just gotta wait for the game. While we wait, I think on episode, we'll see when we get in the game. It's just gonna take a second. Finally. Alright, we are on episode number 11. It's gonna be good. Alright, episode number 11 of the series. Alright, so as you can see, these are our current world borders. We have Kuwait, the Persians, the Triple Kingdom of Oman, Qatar, and the UEA. However, one thing I'd like to bring up is every nation's alliance-ship, if you will. So we have the Greco-Anatolian Republic, and they're not aligned with anyone. Then the Egyptians are not aligned with anyone either. The Persians are in alliance with the Caucasians and the Caspians, and the Kuwaitis are in a alliance with the Anatolians. Southwestern land will have a small expand. They will connect their area and then start to march into Egypt. The Caucasians will have a medium expand. They will take this fort. They annex it. The Caucasians will then unite, and they will reunite with Caspia. They will then adopt classical Taoism. Perfect. A new nation will form up, and this new nation will form right here in this area, and it will be known as Lebanon. The reason why this happens is because a lot of dissent is being spread within the more powerful Kuwait. So this new Lebanese nation will form, and then another new nation will form up, and Cyprus formally declare their independence. So basically in exchange for being allowed to take their core territories, so all of this, the new Cypriot government is formed up, but the catch being that they are not allowed to fight, like they're not allowed to have an army for offensive purposes, is to be known as the new Cypriot Republic. They're not allowed to be a monarchy anymore. The new colors will be something like this. Just give them a second. They will have a new leader, and they will expand to all of Cyprus. Now, and start taking down the lands the treaty permitted them. As you can see, they are taking it. They get all their western boundary, but now they got to claim what's left of their eastern boundary. And aside from that, that's all the land they're gonna get. Egypt will have a large expand. So the only thing they will do is they will take this lake area. They will just move the border to be like this. So in exchange for being allowed to have a small offensive army, like their president's guard, if you will, and also for being allowed to reform the monarchy, they are forced to feed over the eastern portion of this lake. Well, this, like, I guess a river or sea, you could call it. And that is our new borders of Egypt. So roughly that. And then they will also move in here. The Egyptian government is doing pretty well. Alright. we have the Inner Iran Republic will unite, and they will unite with the. Go click on it. They will unite the Northeast Inner Iranians, and then the whole kingdom will start to move. They will found a religion, and this religion will become known as Qatari. They'll then have a minor expand. They will push into this area. They will take these islands from Egypt. In exchange for the new border is going to be roughly here. They are allowed to take all of this. Additionally, a new border is made between these two, which is going to be roughly here. So roughly like right here is the new border. It would then renegotiate, and in exchange for being allowed to take this, they will agree not to take any of this inland land. And that is their maximum new border. And they will also be allowed to push to these Red Sea areas. And then the Egyptian government will then take up to here. These are the new rough borders of the Egyptian and Omani. The nation. These are the new borders. As you can see, they're not bad. The Egyptian government will then send in a ship, and they will land over here. They will take these islands, and this will anger the government, and they will land in there. An ultimatum is sent to them, and they will be forced to completely surrender the southern islands to the Egyptian government. This is quite embarrassing, but this will weaken the government. They will land over here. The age of conflict will start, and the Greco-Anatolians will push the Egyptians out. They will be successful. They will entirely push the Egyptian government out, and a treaty is signed. But right before this happens, they seize Tripoli, and the Egyptians will fight back. They will have a new leader, and he will retake Tripoli. His forces will land in the port of Crete. They will take on the entire island, plus this and this. Then the Egyptian government will then launch an expedition, and this expedition will hope to connect with the southwestern lands, and they will be nearly successful. These guys will found their religion, and this will be known as tribalism. These guys are a tribe, follow a tribe system. They don't really have a government. These guys have not finally have achieved their border, and at this point they've been founded. At this point they are 540 years old. So meaning for the past 300 years. Actually, no, for the past like 300 something years. For 500 years they have not bordered anyone up until now. It took them 540 years to get a border, and they finally have. They will seize more of this trade route. The Triple Kingdom will adopt a religion. Do not know which to take. However, the Egyptian government will convince them in order to show unity, they will become Islamic. The Caucasians will have a small expand. They will take over these pockets left from the peace treaty of the war. These areas were set to be annexed by the Caucasians, but they just didn't have the time to. So this is the new border. They will just work on readjusting the border between them. It will expand. Scars of the war between them are still visible, as you can tell by this map. The new border is roughly here and here. So meanwhile, the Kuwaiti government will launch a surprise invasion of Persia. They will seize this fort. However, the Persian government responds. They will march across. They will seize nearly all of this area. The Kuwaiti government will push. It will liberate some land. The Persians will just then proceed to march back in and cut them off. However, they have a new leader who is peaceful. The Persian government will use this and they will push and essentially completely ruin the Kuwaiti government, but the Kuwaiti army, a small Kuwaiti army group, successfully do this, and then peace is signed. And in the Treaty of Kuwait, the Kuwaiti government is forced to surrender this entire area to Persia. This is a major blow to them. Persian government refuses to give up this land. They try to march in. They will be successful in seizing this part. However, the weakened Qatari army will be a new leader replaces Qatar. So basically, what happened is he basically what happens is she dies in this attack. So she is replaced by the new guy, Emperor Cyrus. This is a major blow to the Persians. So they will do one last attack to secure their new border, and it will be roughly up to here. They will completely cut off this, and this will force the Kuwaiti government to peace talks. So the new border of the Iranian area will now be this. So the Persian government now controls this entire area, and this is the Kuwaiti government is now landlocked. They have a narrow, small strip, which is referred to as the Kuwaiti strip right here. These three small areas. However, the Lebanese government will adopt a new religion, and they will adopt Islam. And this is in order to put up an affront against the what do you call them? So now the border is adjusted, and Kuwaitis are now landlocked. The Kuwaiti government is extremely weak, but is still alive, and that's mostly what matters. The new Cyprian Republic have a small expand. They will use their newly founded army, and they will be successful in seizing all of this coast, at least most of it. And they will then adopt their religion. They will adopt Libyan Islam, but don't expect this to last. They're planning on changing their religion eventually. They'll get a medium expanse, and they will be successful in heavily eliminating the Lebanese army. The Kuwaiti government will then, before the Kuwaiti government can do anything, however, a new nation forms. And this new nation is known as Iraq. New Iraqi nation is founded. And this new Iraqi nation is founded because they are a group of militarists. It will seize this area, and they will start to move. Now, Iraq is led by a dictator, and this new Iraqi government, their plan is to just completely obliterate the Persians. So given this, the Iraqi government will now declare themselves as the militarist, or wait, hold on, let me go with the People's Republic of Ireland. And it would be led by this general. So at this point, the Kuwaiti government is, it's not looking good for them. The Iraqis will build a castle right here to ensure that the Persians cannot surprise attack them. And they will use their time to expand. So they will start marching further, and the Kuwaiti government cannot do anything about this. And the Persians will react, and they will almost immediately start marching in. They want to eliminate the Iraqi government because they know that if they let a dictatorship exist on their border, then they're gonna be invaded. So they will push hard, and they will get close, but they do successfully seize their fort. However, they will then respond, and they will be unsuccessful. The Persians will use this opportunity, and they will start committing a massive march. They will cut off the Iraqi water supply, and they will then start making rapid gains. And now the Iraqi government is fully taken over. They will then prioritize eliminating any pockets of Kuwait in the area, and they will be successful. The new leader replaced Cyrus. This is mostly because the fact that he basically gets killed, and what happens is the Iraqi people living over here, and Iraqis and Kuwaiti people, they execute him. They capture him and execute him. He's now replaced by a new emperor. The Kuwaiti resistance is wiped out. Now Persia's in a better military position. However, they will not give up because they know that if they let this... what? That's weird. Perfect. The Persian Empire will continue their just rapid march. Till at this point, the Kuwaiti government is forced to sign peace. He will found a religion. This becomes known as Syrian. So at this point, the government is so weak to the point at which they are no longer called Kuwait. The leader is overthrown, and they are now become known as Syria. And their leader, Khalid, is thrown out and replaced with General and will let her replace Khalid. Meanwhile, the Greco-Anatolian Republic will have a union, and they will unite with the Syrians. This is because the government will desperately needs it. Meanwhile, the Greek government will in an attempt to secure their borders, will successfully push the Lebanese government out. The Cypriotian Republic will respond by building a castle, and it will be built right up here. So so basically this whole area is their holy land, and I'll explain what that area is in a second. Alright, so this is their holy land, right? From here to here. This is their holy land, this area. So basically it stretches from the eastern banks of this river, this lake, and then down here, all of the Sinai to here, up to all this. And then it ends at this river, and it also encompasses Cyprus. That's their rough borders of their land. That's the land they want, all this. The Greco-Anatolians, the Anatolian people, want all this land, roughly all this, because they were founded along this river. The Caucasians, they don't really care about most of this land. I mean, the Caucasian, like, native area is all this. That's like it. That's like their native area, plus Caspia, because they founded that. At this point, Caspia is like an integral part. As for the Persians, their area is roughly from here all the way here. This is their, like, land that they legally... This is like their native lands. This is the former lands of the Kuwaiti nation. This was their native land. As for Egypt, I mean, this is roughly what they would have. It's plus or minus the Sinai, so it'd be like roughly up to like here, I'd imagine. And Yemen would generally only have something like this, but they were extremely good diplomats, and they were able to annex practically all of this at one point. And as for the Greco-Anatolians, their border is roughly contains Greece, Crete, Cyprus, and everything west of this river up to roughly around here. So like all of this. What remains of this is also the Kuwaiti land, so basically from this border down to here, and roughly up to here. I already mentioned Caucasia, and then this thing was formerly part of Persia. They're like, at this point, I mean, they're basically like the Caspian, they're like the Caucasian, Iranian vassal state, if you will. As for these guys, their native land is what they possess, minus this strip in Somalia. Like, their native land would be like up to here, plus Oman. Anyways, the new Cypriots will have a small expanse, will march north, because they want to regain their Holy Land. But, the Greeks will have a new leader, and then he gets thrown out almost immediately, and then their leader gets thrown out almost immediately again. They get thrown out again, and finally, the reason why this happened was because basically it had a cabinet crisis. It would be successful in seizing Cyprus. The Egyptians will build a fort right on the western bank of the river. I'm going to call it the eastern bank. So basically, this is their capital, right? In Egypt, we'll start marching in the south. And this move will shock the Cypriot government, but they can't really do much. They're, at this point, nearly dead. Meanwhile, as for the rest of the world, a new nation will form in Crete. This new nation, of course, is independent. So basically, it follows the Egyptian religion, but follows Greek customs. So this will be known as Crete, this new nation. And it will have a color like this, like light bluish. This new Cretan government will take all of this land. And this new nation is somewhat popular. The Cretan people like it. The Greeks would much rather have it be under a fellow Greek nation than they would be under Egypt, so they're not complaining. So Crete will build itself a castle just to ensure that they are not attacked. They will build it in western Crete, because they know the Egyptian government wants their land back. But the Egyptians realized if we invade this, we might go to war with Greece. And here's the thing, if you go to war with Greece, who do you think would win? So we have Greece, who can easily funnel all their troops into this pocket, and they can just promise the Cypriots independence again if they wanted to. Which honestly wouldn't shock me. They probably would do that. So basically, whereas the Egyptians, they trust the Cypriots less. Well, they trust the Egyptians less. This is because the Egyptians literally just invaded them, even though they promised not to. The Greeks, the Cypriots did, to be fair, like, intrude on part of their territory. So basically part of their holding would interfere with the Turkish claims, so they understood why that they attacked. But the Egyptians, they really promised, they really let that nation form, and they paid to attack it for no reason. So the people are really upset. So to put it this way, if there was a war between these two, the Cyprians would choose to line with the Greeks. So this would ensure that the Cyprians would just revolt and just heavily damage Egyptian infrastructure. Also, it also wouldn't shock me if they fund a revolt in Sinai, because Sinai is a pretty important territory. It connects these two parts of Egypt together. Without it, the Egyptian government would be heavily weakened. Also, would weaken the easternmost part of the Nile, like this little part. But in the meantime, Egyptians will decide, you know what, they decide to sign an armistice, and this armistice will move the border to be roughly here. This is the new border, it will expand to right here. The new border will go right here. This is the new border between the two nations. And this is controversial. The Greek people want to hold all this because they know that it can threaten the Sinai. But the Egyptians want to keep this area because they don't want the Greeks to be able to threaten them. So basically, these two are in like their own Cold War over influence on the Cyprians, because the Greeks already had them in their pocket, but they want to reinforce that. Because if the Greeks are able to get the Cyprians to revolt, which off some money and some weapons they would gladly, but at this point, we'll go to turn. Let's say turn 900. All right, the Persians will start to move. Now, the death of the Empress was quite an unfortunate thing. A lot of people are still upset about that. So the army isn't as powerful as it was, but it still is quite the strong fighting force. Don't get that. Don't think that for a second the Persian army isn't among the strongest on earth, because they are. Iran Republic will unionize. So they will not unionize with the Persian Empire. They will instead unionize with the good old Caucasians. I'm just kidding. They're not. Persia will found a religion, and this new religion will replace their old religion. This is because the Empress is dead at this point, and the whole point of their religion was to worship her. It would make sense, she's really dead. So, although often this happens in most religions will worship a dead person, genuinely some religions do. Be certain Western C does that to an extent. But anyways, you will find a new religion. This new religion will become known as Persianism. And this new religion called Persianism is supposed to be the successor to their previous religion, because they know that we all knew that she would have died or gotten killed. It was guaranteed to happen. it wasn't old age, it would have been on the battlefield. So given this new religion is designed to ensure that the monarchy is still intact. So the Persian Empire is slightly less stable and is less, and the leadership is less popular, but it's still doing well. Meanwhile, Crete will have a medium expand, and Crete will start their invasion of southern Greece. And this invasion is marked with an intense amount of backlash from the Greek government, at least. The Greek people down here, that they really. So their invasion force will make it to here. So the Greek Turkish Navy are able to stop them. However, this new border is not looking good. They will then land in Cyprus, and their plan is to seize the entire island, which they will be nearly successful in. And to ensure they can hold the area, they will build this right here in the South Athens. This is to ensure that the Greek army cannot march in, because they know that the Greek will try to take the city. They will then expand and seize this fort. Their new objective is to secure the southern lands. We'll see if that succeeds. A new castle is built right over here, and they will build it right about here. Central fort is to ensure that the Christians cannot cross this little gap and quickly just encircle Athens, because they could easily just do this, because they have these islands, and they also have beachheads on the southern Turkish coast. So their new objective will be to ensure that the safety of southern Turkey, and they will be successful, slamming the Cretan army out. Although this does weaken them, that being the Cretans, they do hold on to they do, however, still hold on to Crete. They will take this island, I think it's Rhodes, if I remember correctly. They get right up to here. So the naval war is looking to be tied. In the meantime, they will use what's left to re-land in Cyprus. They will make progress. Crete responds with a counter-assault, which will knock them off the island. They will then start retaking their islands. At this point, both sides of the navies are locked in. Both sides are focused and dedicated. Let's go over who is being supported by each side. So, the Egyptians are supporting Crete. The Greeks are being supported by no one. Now, who do Caucasia and Persia support? Well, the answer is that Caucasia generally supports the Greeks more. This is because they're under major trading partner, but they don't want to send aid because they want to ensure that they are not. They want to ensure that they basically want to ensure that the Egyptian government won't get mad at them, because these two have trading relations. These two send trade via naval ship. So what they do is they the Caucasian Navy sends their ships through these small areas, and they will then get to Egypt. And the Greeks figure, this is probably for the Greeks don't. I mean, the Greeks know this for Egypt, but they don't think it's anything important. They don't really care. Basically, these two have a trade agreement where the Greeks don't search Cypriotian ships. They don't stop or attack them. But the Caucasian government agrees to not interfere with their stuff. So basically, the way it works, the Caucasians won't invade them. A new nation will form. 20 more turns. That's all we'll do. 20 more. In this new nation, will form. Well, actually, the real question is, will a new nation form at this point? Because this war is, if you're on the Greek side, you're somewhat losing and somewhat winning. I mean, you're winning over here because they have not invaded you, like your mainland yet. They've only taken this. They haven't actually invaded like this central area yet. They probably will. But in the meantime, a small new Montenegrin nation will start. This nation is known as Montenegro, and this small nation will arise because these Montenegrin people genuinely, no one really cares about them. So they demand independence, and because if they don't get independence, they will allow the Egyptian army to land ships. So as a result, they are quickly given their independence. They are an incredibly tiny nation, as you can tell, but and these guys will make land, will make gains. They will successfully push these guys back. They will secure these islands. Now they have successfully weakened the Cretan army and their navy. Because their army was holding on to these islands, because they need these to, make sure their navies are fueled up. They didn't land in the capital. They will ultimately not be successful. Cretan military will be forced to adopt Islam, quite embarrassingly for them. Greeks will also adopt Islam. So the world religion at this point, Islam dominates the west of the Middle East, and then the two classical Taoism and Persian Taoism dominate the northeast, and then the Persianism, or Persianism is a religion that dominates the northern Persian Gulf. That's the current religion map. So Persia, with a medium expand, what they will do is they will start an invasion too. And the reason why is because they want to secure this. So they will push here. So basically, they send special forces to march across the desert. And their emperor, what happens is the emperor goes into battle over this fort, and he dies. Because their initial plan was to successfully take this area, but they had to ensure that we're connected for logistic purposes, so they couldn't actually attack this area because the king died, like the general. So now we have Emperor Solomon. At this point, I think they're on their 4th leader at this point. So he's a conqueror. So he's quite a good general. So now they will build a new fort, and they build it right here. Now these two, no, they don't have bad relations. They have somewhat good relations. They're not enemies or anything. They're both friendly, but they both will obey military alliances. I mean, they have so basically the way it works is they have open waters. So what that means is these two can dock at each other's ports for free. So these two have mutual port access. But aside from that, the two have something that ensures they won't attack each other. They have a non-aggression pact. They'll build a castle here. This is mostly for security reasons. This will be known as the Triple Kingdom Persian Empire. It's designed to make sure their border is safe. Both sides will agree to this. Both sides will pay money to build it. This is a map without any names, as you can see. Let's move on. The Cretans, a new leader. As you can see, they're getting unstable. This is understandable. They will build a new castle to be safe. They will build it right here. They will successfully push the Cretan government out. And then they will found a new religion. This will become known as Anatolianism. And what this is basically combines the Greek religion and it was the Anatolian/Turkish religion. Becomes known as Greek Anatolianism. This new religion will be a peach color, and it will, well, the armies of the Greco-Turkish Republic will be successful in fully taking over Crete. They will then start marching into Cyprus. At this point, Great War is about to be over. I'm going to give these forts all random names. And now, the war is finally over. And with that being said, after we're done with this turn, I'm going to end the video because you just saw an entire war. And then these two will change up the border. And it now will be roughly up to here. This is because, quite simply, the Persian, both of these guys' armies were tired. The Persians' armies were adjusting to their new general. Basically, the emperor of it's like customary at this point. The emperor of the nation is like also the supreme commander of the military. So that's like the reason why they constantly have to switch leaders, because the leader can't kill them in battle because they're the general. Like they're general with nearly every army, with the sole exception of the Kuwaiti Royal Guard. And basically, so for context, the Kuwaiti people have like an autonomous region, like right here, all this, right? And they're protected by two Kuwaiti militias. So they're not under the command of the Persians, but they're not allowed to, like start wars or anything. Right? Persian Taoism. Taoism is like really weak at this point. I mean, at this point, Taoism used to exist in, I think it used to exist in the Persian Empire too, but now it like no longer exists in the Persian Empire. Oh yes, and this is how old each faith is. Let's go over them. Some of these faiths are not old at all, and some of these ones are just absurdly old. The oldest one that still exists on this map is obviously good old classical Taoism, which has existed for 836 years. It existed since turn 57. That's an insanely long time. Greek Anatolianism just got founded. Libyan Islam is big since turn 423. Tribalism has only existed, well, since this video's start, I think. Persianism is basically just a successor to, I forgot what name is. Tastianism, where it was Persian Taoism. The Persian Taoism is, well, it just got like, the doctrine just changed slightly. So it's not like the second version of it. You know what? We're gonna call it the, if I could, come on, alright. Second, so call it the second Persian Taoism. This is like their second iteration of it. So the oldest one on this map is by far Taoism. It's also the oldest country. Yep. The oldest country on this map appears to be, it is indeed, the oldest country is the Caucasians, and the Southwesterners, and then the Persians, which technically, the Persian Empire is a successor state to the Iranian colony. Kind of crazy, Iranian colony used to be only here, and then it just became this. Alright, well, we'll do the final 7 turns. Egypt will have a new leader. Southwestern lands will also have a new leader. As you can see, it just keeps switching out the tribal leaders. They will have a medium expand, the Triple Kingdom. Here's what they do. So, basically, they will push into more unclaimed lands. I really love this purple they have. Let's see what the Persians do. They will have a large expand, and what they will do is quite simple. So the Persians, what they want is simple. They want these islands. So basically, here's what happens. So, so let's go over it. So basically, the Persian government, so basically they own these ports which exist from the old colonial days. So their ownership of this one has been fully established. It's been recognized because, for context, it wasn't recognized of the southern one at least. The northern one was always recognized, but the southern one got taken over during a war. Not sure which one. So the Persian Empire will take over these small northern provinces. They don't really care about them taking this area over. Long distance short two are in a military alliance, and they're fine with this because they would much rather have a happy Persia who's aligned with them than an angry Persia who's going to fight them. Because the Persian army, especially the Persian Empire, is a very strong nation. You would not want to fight that thing without allies because they have some of the best generals on earth. They have some of the most fervent um army members on earth. So now, Persia will also regain the Somalian lands so they had established a Somalian colony, but they got taken over by these guys. Then the new Montenegro Empire will be small expand. They will take over this. The Egyptian government will then expand too. The Egyptians, noticing how they are folding to the Persian demands, they will seize this area. And the reason is because basically they want to ensure that this land isn't taken over by Persia. Egypt and Persia, I mean, their relations aren't so bad when they're at war or anything like that. They're not exactly friends. Like the Persian and the Egyptians are like a rivalry because the Egyptians are trying to gain influence over these guys. The Persians obviously don't want an enemy on their border. Then the Egyptian government will additionally do some other stuff. They will do this. Alright, this is the final turn of our video. Montenegro will found its own religion. This will be known as Slavism. Slavism is generally quite, it's not going to be too important. Basically, here's what they want. So they want to control all of this, up to here. They want all of this to establish their own Yugoslavian state, if you will. Now the Greek Antonine Republic, so they're annoyed that they have a border with the Montenegrins. They want to take them over. So we'll see if they manage to do that in the next and potentially final episode.